Is Mr. Parmesh Chand to share his thoughts. Severe tropical cyclone Winston wreaked havoc over our mind. I'd like to invite the head teacher of Nukuloa College.
The head of Chancery, Indian High Commission, Mr. Khan, the head of school, Nukuloa School, Mr. Michael Ali, the head of school, Nukuloa College, Mr. Naveen Singh, the school management committee, the school management trustees, officials from the Ministry of Education, government officials present here today, the teachers, students, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen. It always gives me pleasure to be in a school and to experience the energy that vibrates in a classroom. And we've just seen that with our students when they were singing the national anthem as well as the prayer. There's so much of energy, and sometimes we have to contain this energy. And I could see the teachers trying to control them, but I can understand they're excited because there are visitors around them, and probably this is one of the occasions where even when we were students, we looked forward to. So I thank the school management committee as well as the head teacher for a very warm welcome, and I'll also extend my sincere gratitude to the Indian High Commission and the people of India for the contribution in making this school. As you have heard from the head of Chancery, that the Indian High Commission had invested 2.7 million to assist the government of Fiji in building 20 schools that were affected by Cyclone Winston in 2016. For your information, from 2016 till today, government has invested more than $250 million only in the reconstruction of schools. That was the level of damage caused by Cyclone Winston. And it's not a small amount that we're talking about. And we do understand that the school management committee will have a mammoth task to rebuild schools. When they started building school in yesteryears, obviously at that time we didn't have building code. We had no idea about the requirements that are in place now. Say for example, making sure that the buildings are built to withstand Category 5 cyclone. There was no such standards. Normally the carpenters from the village used to come together, they had a design in the mind, and they will all come together and just build a classroom. That's how it used to happen. So there were no engineering plans or drawings for that matter. But we have learned our lessons. We need to do it well, we need to do it better. And for that reason, each and every classroom or building that the government constructs, it makes sure that it is built to withstand Category 5 cyclone. And this school is no exception. And to guide in the construction of schools, making sure that the schools are modern, the ambience is better, and the needs of the students and teachers are taken into consideration. We have construction implementation unit established in Ministry of Economy that supervises the construction. I mean, gone are the days when the school tried the level best, or the school management committee tried the level best to raise funds and to build classrooms. Often we would come across situations where the cheapest tiles would be bought and colorful tiles. But if you look at this classroom, You can see the uniformity, you can see the ambience. And it's not a mix match type of presentation, with the color combinations, etc. And we appreciate the work that was done by the contractors under the guidance of CIU. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to emphasize the key point, which is after Fiji signed the Paris Agreement, and after signing the Paris Agreement, Fiji faced 13 cyclones. And 13 cyclones were of different sizes. After Cyclone Winston, Fiji again faced Category 5 cyclone, Category 4 cyclone, Category 3 cyclone. And even this year, we were not completely spared. We had a small cyclone, but when we talk about Category 1 cyclone, it might not be damaging in terms of winds, but it is certainly damaging when it comes to flooding. And that's how some of the areas around Fiji was affected. And as a government, we are aware of the fact that there is nothing that we can do to stop cyclones. We can't. It's a natural phenomenon, and it's going to become stronger and stronger every year. And we can see this change happening around the globe. But one thing we can surely do is build stronger buildings and make our buildings resilient and make our people resilient. And after every cyclone, we have seen that the people have so much, so much commitment. And it's a matter of survival that they bounce back. And they rebuild their homes, they rebuild their community, and we get on with our lives. That is the beauty of our country. Now that the buildings are complete and the students are occupying the building, the only word of advice that I'll give to the school management committee as well as the head of school is to have a maintenance plan. A maintenance plan is extremely important so that you continue with the regular maintenance and do not wait after 10 or 15 years when the building is falling apart, then we are looking for funds. It's too late. You won't be able to do that. But if you have a maintenance plan and also you have an account where you put some money aside to maintain building, it'll go a long way. So please ensure that this is being done. I also want to emphasize the importance of education the government has placed in many other important things that we need to focus. Our 21st century will be known for three things. One is the climate crisis, what we know as climate change. Second one is the health crisis, which is coronavirus and the havoc it has caused to our economy, to the health of our people. And obviously, coronavirus was deadly and it has caused a lot of death globally. But the third factor or challenge that we need to also consider while we're talking about 21st century is the change in the geopolitical arena and the conflicts that we see globally. The recent one and the latest one, of course, is the Ukraine and Russia war. Now, something happens on the other side of the world does not mean that we are not affected. We are affected. And we are affected badly. You can see the increase in cost of living. Food prices have gone up. Fuel prices have gone up. And it is having an impact on each and every household. And that is what not only Fiji is going through, but each and every country is going through. And in fact, there are countries who are already in recession, and there are many other countries who are on the verge of going into recession. There are many countries who have taken a lot of loans, and they are now strategizing how they're going to pay these loans. For example, Australia, they've taken $1 trillion of loan, large amounts of loan, because it was all about survival of human beings, survival of our people. When there were no jobs, how do you expect food to come on the table? When there was a border shutdown, closure of our border, the planes were grounded, the shops were shuttered, there were no jobs. And then it becomes an obligation on the part of the government to look after its people, and that's what we had to do. But going forward, I must thank each and every individual who decided to make the right decision, and that was to get vaccinated. If it wasn't for vaccination, our borders would not be open. And if our borders are not open, our economy would have been badly, badly hurt. But now that the borders are open, people are going back to work. And I was in Denarau last night. It's quite interesting to see very long, long queues at the breakfast area. And whenever you ask a worker, what's the occupancy rate? Very proudly and happily they say it's 100%, madam. And you can see what it means to them, what it means to the employment, what it means to their family. So we have to keep going. However, we must understand that the coronavirus is not out of Fiji yet. It's still here. And the news that you may have seen just a week ago, there was a warning for us as well that the number is slightly going up. Right? Within 6 weeks, we had more than 450 cases. So it means that we need to protect ourselves and we need to protect others as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will just speak on one more topic before I take my seat, and that would be the important changes that the Ministry of Education is making in the education sector just to transform the education sector to the needs of our students as well as the workforce. Two very important areas. And for the needs of our students, I'm referring to our children being born in an era where technology has taken off. And we have heard from the head of school how they have invested in overhead projectors in each and every classroom. And before I entered this room, I had a little discussion with the head of school, and I did mention that we need to invest in the tablets. We need to have more computers in the school and to allow each and every teacher to use computers to teach students. Computers actually does not mean that it's only for computer lessons and that's about it. Computers are there to teach each and every subject. And that is the direction we are taking. And my instructions are very clear to each and every school. There is FEG money and there is a portion that can be used for buying computers and technologies. It's no point saving this money. You need to invest this money. And we are also changing the curriculum. We are focusing on ECE and up to year 4. And there is a lot of change in the lower primary. We have introduced numeracy and literacy, new curriculum, including civic and moral education. That is our big focus. Not that we're going to teach, ascending and descending order that are normally here, being taught in class 1. I mean, it is crazy. We shouldn't be doing that. This is the age when the brains are being developed in our children, and we should use it wisely by inculcating values and principles in our children. And the civics and moral education, that we are introducing or we have introduced in primary school does not mean it ends here. It will continue right up to year 13. But in year 12 and 13, it will be called life skills. And the idea of this particular subject is not to test knowledge, not to test knowledge at all. The idea is to see behavioral change in our students. Behavioral change where students respect their elders, they respect the community, they respect one another, and they behave based on certain norms that the society wants our children to operate in. We are actually shocked every day when I get reports from my team and when I hear that students in primary schools are involved in brawl. They're fighting in schools. Or students in primary schools are caught with drugs. I just got this message this morning. And when primary school students are loitering at night or loitering during daytime, obviously it shows there is a breakdown in system. And as a society, we need to fix it. While the ministry is doing what it can, but there is an obligation. There is an obligation on the part of the parents as well as the faith-based organization that we associate with. Everyone has to play its part. It cannot be just one way, and that is all eyes should be towards the education system or to Ministry of Education. It has to be a collective action, and we all must understand that to raise our children and to make them good citizens of this country, it has to be done through a partnership, and partnership involves various stakeholders, and every stakeholder has a role to play. And I would like to thank the teachers for the hard work that you do. In this day and age, it's very, very difficult, extremely difficult to teach students. Gone are the days, during our school days, if we misbehaved, we went home, and the teachers smacked us when we went home, and we would try not to tell our parents because we know that they'll give us 2 more slaps. And if the teachers call the parents would come to the school and simply say, if they don't listen to you, smack them. But that was during those times. Time has changed. Now we are signatory to a Human Rights Convention. Children have rights too. They need to be protected. But that doesn't mean that, if the children are misbehaving, we should smack them. We shouldn't smack them. There is zero tolerance. And you already know the ministry's policy on that. For you to discipline our children, and if you have gone through the education system, you have learned there is positive and negative reinforcement. It's time for you to pull out some of those tricks and use it on the students. That's how you can discipline our children in this day and age. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, we have much pleasure in commissioning the newly built classrooms, the evolution blocks, and other facilities in this school. Thank you very much, Vinaka Bakalevu.
The school trustees and the head of school.
Minister,
So
thank
there
you
you
very
go.
much. We'll look after the school.
Yes, I know you will, because I can already see that the school is in such good hands and it's very well maintained.